Can AI write content that actually hooks your audience, or will it just sound robotic? Let's put it to the test using the A.C.E framework. If you've used AI to create content, you may have noticed it can sound a little robotic or maybe empty. The information might be accurate and it might even be interesting, but it doesn't always resonate or connect with your audience. Sometimes it was obvious that the whole thing was written by AI. In this video, we're going to look at the A.C.E framework and how it can help you craft content that feels authentic, natural, and engaging. The A.C.E framework takes an audience-centered approach to creating high-quality, engaging content, and then pairs that with precise execution guidelines. Ultimately, it's going to help you create content that speaks directly to your audience using their tone, language, things that are familiar to them anyway, so that they really understand what you're doing. And that is a key to great communication. It's really, truly understanding your audience. The A.C.E framework consists of 3 pieces: audience, context, and execution. Audience. This is all about who the content is for. You want to include things like tone, appropriate language, jargon, the profession of the audience that you're presenting to, demographic information, and even like understanding complexity. If you're writing, say, a tutorial for a first grader, well, you're going to have to present that very differently than you would, say, a 10th grader, because they're not going to get it if you try to mix those two up. And the 10th grader may feel insulted if you're talking them to like a first grader. You really want to pay attention to who your audience is. This is going to make a big difference in how the AI is going to generate content for you. Context, on the other hand, determines how to position the content. Here you would also do things like establish the purpose of the content itself, your brand voice, any goals that you have for this content. It could also include like inspirations or references, things like that. Really help it understand how to present this well to your audience. And then lastly, the execution. This is all about providing specific instructions on the format, structure, style, delivery. Give it instructions on how to take a particular approach to presenting the topics. You need to be as specific as possible here. The use cases for the A.C.E framework lean towards content-heavy things. That would be things like content marketing, which is like blog posts, social media posts, newsletters, emails, anything where you're trying to present a topic to an audience. It would also help a lot with brand storytelling. That's things like your company origin story or mission and vision statements. Another common use would be sales and conversion copy, like landing pages, ads, video scripts, anything where you're trying to convince someone to do something or take an action. And then, of course, there's educational content. This is things like tutorials, courses, how-to articles. I even used A.C.E to help produce this video. Here's some helpful tips on how to use A.C.E effectively. Number 1, be very specific about your demographic information for your audience. You want to give as much as you can, because the more that AI understands who it's writing for, the better job it's going to do producing output that is good for your audience. You want to provide clear and specific guidelines and examples for your brand, because it's not always just about presenting information clearly. It's presenting it the way you would present it, or that your company or your brand presents it. You also want to specify your formatting requirements, structural elements, however you want that output to come out. You need to specify all those things. One example I did recently with the A.C.E framework was I was asking AI to help me write a blog post. It wrote the content, and then I said, well, I want the structure of my blog post to work with this, and it rewrote it and wrote it exactly the way I wanted to output my content that made the most sense for the site I was putting it on. Match your audience and language choices. This is going to be a big deal depending on what audience you're talking about. Earlier, we talked about first graders, 10th graders. If you are trying to present a concept to a first grader, you're going to use different vocabulary, different word choices, and even complexity of understanding versus a 10th grader who can almost function at the adult level, but their vocabulary is a lot more sophisticated than what a first grader is capable of really understanding and knowing what to do with. You also want to reference content familiar to your audience so they really get it. For instance, if you're talking to a bunch of Swifties, you can reference the Eras Tour that just completed, or pop culture references that make sense to the Swiftie audience that wouldn't really make sense to a different audience. You also want to consider their pain points, things that they all experience that make it difficult difficult for them to get their jobs done, and also consider the things that they aspire to. If you're able, also define a measurable goal for AI to work with. That will help it craft the best possible message. For instance, especially with the sales copy and things like that, you may say, I want to increase my conversion rate from 1% to 2%, or just by X percentage. And that will help AI to craft the best possible output for you. Now that you understand the ACE framework and what it's comprised of, let's take a look and try out some prompts that use the ACE framework, and we can see the output that it generates. All right, we are going to pull up ChatGPT again. I'm going to grab a couple of prompts that are already written in the ACE framework. This one in particular is about writing an email newsletter. So we're saying create content for busy urban professionals ages 30 to 45. See how specific we're getting? Who are interested in personal finance but intimidated by investment terminology. Who isn't? They have disposable income but limited time and financial education. They respond well to straightforward, actionable advice with minimal jargon. See how specific that is? Giving this kind of super specific information to the AI is going to help a lot in generating the content in a very understandable way for this particular audience. Now, the context. This is the monthly newsletter for a financial wellness app that emphasizes long-term investing over get-rich-quick schemes. Our brand voice is honest, encouraging, and occasionally humorous, like a financially savvy friend who doesn't judge financial mistakes. We avoid fear-based messaging that's common in the industry. The purpose is to educate subscribers about tax-advantaged retirement accounts before the tax deadline. Again, we're giving the context, the why we're generating this content for them. Now we're going to talk about the execution. Craft a 400-word email newsletter. Super specific there, 400 words, with a subject line with a 20 to 35% open rate benchmark. Now look at that. Measurable goal right there. An opening that acknowledges tax season stress but transitions to opportunity. We're addressing the pain point and kind of an aspiration there too. 3 bite-sized tips about retirement account contributions with specific tax benefits explained in plain language, and a concrete example of showing dollar amounts saved through tax-advantaged investing. We're giving hyper-specific information about the output that we are expecting to get. Let's see what ChatGPT does. All right, right here at the top, we're seeing 3 possible subject lines. We can use these to A/B test options if we want to. And then down below, we're seeing the newsletter itself. Looks like the tone is very friendly, and it already has that structure that we asked for. 3 tips, 1, 2, 3, quick reality check. We've got links down here for the retirement calculator tool. Don't know what that is, but apparently that's a thing for our newsletter. You can see it's very friendly. It's reassuring. It's exactly all the things that we asked it to be. Then you should be able to copy paste this into your newsletter app, Beehive, or whatever you use, and change the name down here at the bottom, obviously, and ship that off. You might want to double check some of the verbiage just to make sure, but that is a massive head start over having to write an entire newsletter all from scratch. I hope you see now that the ACE framework does a pretty good job of creating engaging, natural sounding content for your audience, and that it can save you some time. In my next video, we're going to talk about a different framework and what it's capable of doing and who would best use it and for what. Thanks for watching. Go forth and code.